It's not going to let me do it that way. Dang it. Let's see. As usual, just trying to load up my phone so that I can be a part of the conversation. That didn't make sense. I am the conversation. Welcome back to my channel. It's an Amber thing. I am Amber. Okay, I was like, where's the camera on this darn thing so that I can actually look at the camera? That's the end. That's the camera. Okay, I always feel weird because like when I have the camera at a certain angle, I always look like I'm looking in the opposite direction, and I want to be looking at you. So, but if I look in this direction, then I'm not being able to. Stupid, I know. And I have an audience. Do you want to say hi while you're here? Hello. Say hi to Brayden. Hi. And then Alex is back here. Avery's over on the couch, so we'll just see what kind of conversation we can get into today. Granted, we don't have too many interruptions. Who knows? So much going on in this mind of mine. I know that you guys have seen, you know, a couple of some very random videos from me lately. Yesterday, with regards to the Stockholm Syndrome, the PTSD, and Jehovah's Witnesses, and so many other things on my mind. So this will probably just be like a big mesh of like just the madness that is Amber and what goes on in her brain. So let's see, I just clicked out of this. If there's anybody on, can you let me know if you can hear me okay? Because it is probably the biggest pet peeve of everybody when you click on a video and you can't hear anybody. You can see their mouth moving, but you can't hear what they're saying. So if you could let me know, I would so greatly appreciate it. And hi, Jean. Can you hear me okay? Rosa, hey. Okay. Aw, you're so sweet. I don't know, we weren't allowed to focus on ourselves at all. Maybe that's why. I don't know. So what should we start with? Should we start with this wonderful, lovely, humongous book that I got, The Secret Doctrine? I put on one of my posts here on YouTube yesterday, just like a little picture of something that I had read in here, and it was really quite interesting, talking about Jehovah and who the writer of this book believes who Jehovah is. And I'm trying to remember, let's see. It was talking about, and it flipped right to that page as if it were calling. But if you can see here, wait, let me see, make sure it says, oh, the lighting's kind of weird, but Jehovah. And then it just lists all kinds of, you know, different pages and under which we would find the name Jehovah and where they're speaking of Jehovah. And I had come across just several different things that I was like, whoa. But it's really interesting. When I went into this book, I never go into bookstores. Let me just be very honest about how I feel about, I mean, books are awesome. They're great and all of that good stuff, but they put me to sleep. I think I'm more of a like, I'll wait for the movie kind of person. And I went into this bookstore just because I was like, let's go into this bookstore and see what it's about. I pass by it like twice every day from work. And it's caught my attention a couple times, so I just decided to go in and take a look. And this is the very first book that, you know, kind of was like, Amber, look at me. So I picked it up and I flipped it open, and the very first thing that I saw was the name Jehovah. And so I, you know, had read what it was saying, and it was really quite interesting. And let's say this too, this book has an energy to it almost. And as a person who is an empath and can feel energy, I really could feel the energy of this book very strongly. And I want to read this little portion that I had posted yesterday. Let's see. There's so many different things. It's like it talks about, it gives all of, you know, the pages, and then it kind of lists some of the things that are on, you know, each of these pages that say Jehovah. But Jehovah the serpent or dragon, that was the one that I had posted, I believe. So that's on page 73. I just kind of wanted to read that, and I'm going to read it, and then, you know, I wanted you guys to be able to give your feedback on it. I'm not saying, let me say this, I'm not saying that this book is the end-all be-all and that whatever's in this book is absolutely true and we need to believe it, because that's not how I feel. I'm just going to pick up my bookmark. Oh, all those water bottles from the kids. I just found it to be interesting, another viewpoint, and kind of wanted to see how you all feel about this. And then I do want to go on to talk about some other things. I have some other things on my mind with regards to social media, addiction, things like that. But I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to allow you guys to give me your 2 cents on this. But let's see. Okay. It says, the one and the dragon are expressions used by the ancients in connection with their respective, logoi. It's Logoi. Jehovah, esoterically as Elohim, is also the serpent or dragon that tempted Eve, and the dragon is an old glyph for astral light. So this book is like super, super deep, and on many levels, like I feel like as I'm reading some of these things, I also need to have an encyclopedia or something next to me to kind of like decode some of this stuff. So if anybody's familiar with, you know, the things that I'm reading about, please put your comments in here, because I would really, really love to hear what you have to say. But let me start again. So Jehovah, esoterically as Elohim, is also the serpent or dragon that tempted Eve, and the dragon is an old glyph for astral light. Primordial principle. So I need to look that up. Which is the wisdom glyph? No, which is the wisdom of chaos. And I've noticed that everything that I've read so far in this book, when it's referenced to Jehovah, has been negative. So let's see, what is it? Where's another one? Okay, so then the next one is on page 129, and it says, and it speaks about Elohim, and kind of like, if I'm remembering correctly from me reading it yesterday, is talking about Elohim and how Elohim is not one, but is actually 3, and Jehovah being one of those 3. So let's read that a little bit and see. I want to see what you glean from it. But let's see. Give me a second, because let's just see. Like this book is so huge, and then the writing is like there's so much packed into one page. So let me first make sure that I'm on the right page. Um, 129. One of the Elohim, 129. So let's see what it has to say about that. It talks about a lot of very esoteric type things, and when I say esoteric, it's the hidden meanings of things. So let me see if I can find this. Wait, 129. I probably should have had this mapped out a little bit before I got on, but me and the true fashion of Amber and the way that I work, I just kind of like jump on and do what I do. So And maybe in this case, I may be better off highlighting what it is that I'm wanting to say and then coming back to you on another day, because I don't want to just have a bunch of dead air time. But it talks a lot about the Kabbalah. Okay, so let's see. The monotheists have taken and are still taking advantage of the profound esotericism of the Kabbalah to apply the name by which one supreme essence is known to its manifestation. And some of these words I'm not very familiar with, so excuse me if I kind of trip over them, but I'll say it the way that I feel like it, like the way that I feel like it's supposed to be said, and then I'll spell it so that if you want to write it down or look into it, you can. But it's Sephiroth Elohim, and it's spelled Sephiroth hyphen Elohim, Elohim, and call it Jehovah. So let me just read that one more time because we stopped. But the monotheists have taken and are still taking advantage of the profound esotericism of the Kabbalah to apply the name by which the one supreme essence is known to its manifestation, the Sephiroth Elohim, and call it Jehovah. But this is quite arbitrary and against all reason and logic, as the term Elohim is a plural noun, identical with the plural word Chim, Chim, often compounded with the Elohim, and then it has like an asterisk, so it's kind of deep, huh? Let's see. Moreover, in occult metaphysics, they are, properly speaking, to two, and then it says in parentheses, ones, the one on the unreachable plane of absoluteness and infinity, on which no speculation is possible. This is one that I was like really like, last night when I was reading, and something that I'll be looking into a lot more. But maybe I'll just stop right there with this one, because this is really super, super deep, and I feel like we're not going to really glean anything from it if it's not presented properly, or we're not able to, if I'm not able to kind of like get it together all in a cohesive manner. But it looks like there's all kinds of conversations, so let me see what's being said here. Hi, Esther. Yes, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, Lloyd's having a chat too. Let's see. Oh, thank you about my nails. What I was reading from was The Secret Doctrine. This book, it has 2 volumes, and this is volume 1 and volume 2, but it's so super, super deep. Or maybe it's just deep for me. Maybe I just don't have a full understanding of you know, everything that's being said here. I haven't had a chance to read even just like a little bit of it yet. I mean, just a very, very little bit, because it is so deep. And a lot of times I was going, and what I did was I had, you know, like flipped to the back to the index, and I'd looked up, you know, Jehovah, because I wanted to see what had been said about Jehovah. So I was going through and I was like just reading the pieces that were about Jehovah, and didn't really get like a full understanding of what is going on around what's being said about Jehovah. But I was kind of just trying to take a look and see, you know, where things are with regards to Jehovah. You know, like is he being spoken of, or is this God being spoken of in a positive way, in a negative way? Does it confirm what I've been thinking and how I've been feeling about who Jehovah really is, or, you know, am I wrong? But something that I really like too at the very end of this book, and if you guys get a chance, I mean, it's really super deep, it's really big, but it's pretty interesting so far. And I really, I saw this too, and I really connected with this, and so I was like, I have to get it. But I don't know if you can see it, but it says, there is no religion higher than truth. And I really connected with that. So I was like, yes, let me just take a look and see what it says. But aside from that, how's everybody doing? Hi, Bo. So I wanted to read to you something else. And this is a little bit off the topic of, Jehovah right now. But it's been something that has been on my mind, and it's been weighing so heavily. And it's been quite a while. So I'm going to make some confessions. And I'm going to, well, let's just talk about it. I'm going to go to my Facebook, and I'm going to read you something that I posted today. And I kind of wanted really to have a good discussion about this because I think it affects so many of us on so many levels, and it's an important discussion. So this is from my Facebook page. I wrote it this morning, but it's, like I said, something that has been on my mind a lot lately. It says, I'm realizing more and more that Facebook and social media platforms are not truly bringing people closer. It's actually bringing upon us a great divide. We are constantly inundated with false information, propaganda, that we are actually taking in as fact and allowing it to persuade how we think and how we view the world. It's a type of warfare we are almost defenseless against because we are so addicted to it. We are so addicted to it all that we refuse to put it down and see it for what it is. I put my hand up and I said, I'm guilty of this myself. This realization is frightening when you really think about it. Almost no one is even willing to admit that the addiction to our smartphones and social media is real. So I said, I would love to start a put it down campaign, but where do I even begin? I'm not saying social media isn't helpful, but moderation is key. Does anyone else agree? I'd love to hear your viewpoint on this subject. Let's get real with the conversation, even if it means we need to look at how we play a role in it ourselves. And I got 18 different people who responded. Either they liked the post or they loved the post or something like that. And then some people kind of starting to talk about it. And I kind of I'm wondering how do you feel about it? I have been noticing, and this is me making a confession here, but I've been noticing that for me, myself, I am so highly addicted to this gadget right here. It's to the point where I feel like it's almost become a part of me. Like it's in my hand at all times. Hey, Alex. I don't leave the house without it. If I do, I feel as if I've forgotten something so very important that I would actually turn around, drive back home, pick it up, and then be on my merry, even if it makes me late to wherever I'm going. Oh, is it? I'm sorry. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can turn it up. Okay, tell me, am I louder? Is it louder now? Is it a little bit better? Because I think I had the volume too low. You guys, please stop.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's see. So, yeah, so I will literally make myself late if I'm cutting it close with time and I've forgotten my phone, which doesn't happen very often because I'm so used to it being in my hand that if it's not in my hand, I almost feel a little strange. Is anybody does anybody feel that way? Does anybody feel like it's kind of almost everything? I mean, it's your calendar, it's your timer, it's your alarm clock in the morning, it's it's your central location for everything these days, right? It's crazy. But I have even noticed that at times I'll sit down on my couch and I'll pick up this phone, and let's just say, in the morning, I'll get my coffee and I'll pick up my phone and my coffee. I'll go sit down on the couch and I'll drink my coffee and I'll be looking through social media, looking through my emails for business. You know, it's not just social media, it's everything. But I legitimately have this phone in my hand, and it's 9 a.m. when I sit down, and I will be looking through everything. And then by the time I bring my head up from looking at the phone, it's like an hour later, if not even more time has passed without me even really, really realizing that much time has passed by. It's crazy. Can you guys hear me better now? Please, somebody let me know. I just want to make sure that the audio is okay and that it's not, you know, too low for people who, like, you know, who for people who are trying to hear what I have to say. But now, and then we take it, you know, to even a second step, and we start talking about social media and the addiction to the social media itself. I remember probably about maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I was on Facebook and I had read an article, and it was, I want to say, don't quote me exactly because I'm not, you know, I'm not sure, but I want to say it was like a co-founder of Facebook or somebody who was on the team, who was on the team when it was, you know, in the works to hit, you know, to hit the world. And they were saying, does it still seem a little bit low? Okay, let's see, what can we do? Maybe I need to bring it closer. Maybe I need to, I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna speak up a little bit and see if that helps a little bit. If you guys have a hard time hearing, please let me know. I am watching, you know, from here. But, so I'm talking about this article that I read, and, hi, my love. It was talking about the thought processes and some of the things that were built into the platform itself in order to keep people engaged. And it was the instant gratification. So I think, you know, I've had a hard time. Like, this, believe it or not, is a very hard video for me to make, because I'm having to admit, I mean, I've already admitted this to myself, but it's one thing to admit something to yourself, and then quite another thing to come out publicly and say, hey, this is something that's real, this is something that's going on, because it really holds you to another standard, almost like, okay, now I recognized it, now I have to do something about it now that I'm speaking about it publicly. But what it was talking about was the instant gratification that you get when you're on social media. So let's say you, like I'll throw up a picture. I'll throw up a photo of myself, and I will get, you know, likes, right? You get likes and hearts and these emojis, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, like somebody liked my picture, and it makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Well, there's actually something more that's happening during this process. And it talked about it in the article, and it was something that the founders of Facebook were very aware of and played on when they built the platform. But so you get that instant gratification, and something happens in your brain chemically. There's a dopamine release. So the dopamine is what's in charge of, you know, stabilizing your mood or your happiness, those types of things. So it's a chemical release that is taking place. And so you are posting something, and then you're getting the instant gratification or the likes on there, and your dopamine is being released. So you're having these happy, you know, chemicals that are being released, and you feel good and you're great, and it's like, oh yeah, right? Well, what happens when you're not receiving that dopamine release? It's a chemical. And yes, our body produces it, you know, it's not like an illicit illegal drug, you know. However, it almost is like a drug. This dopamine is being released, and you're having all of these happy feelings, but what happens when you don't? There's depression that starts to seep in when that takes place. It's almost like you feel I don't know, like there's a lack of something happening there. What's happening is there is a chemical, we're giving ourselves a chemical imbalance. So now we have, we're on Facebook, our pictures are on there, we're getting like all this happy stuff, we're like, yeah, somebody likes my picture, or somebody's agreeing with what I say, dopamine release, dopamine release, dopamine release. But on a regular day, without social media, without all of that, would dopamine be released that often? No, it wouldn't be. But now we're so used to that high, that dopamine release, that when it's not there, when we're not connecting with other people, when we're not getting those likes, there is a sort of depression that takes place. So when we talk about our social media platforms and our phones and the addiction with them, we are talking about a real live addiction, as if you were I don't mean to say it like as if you were addicted to meth or heroin or something like that, but there is something that takes place. There is a chemical that is being balanced. There is an imbalance when you're having, you turn the faucet on for dopamine, and then all of a sudden you turn it off and you're like, oh, I feel like shit. I feel really unhappy right now. Like, it happens. Is anybody else experiencing things like this? I want to am I by myself with this, or? Esther says, I backed off of social media. I deleted my Facebook, but I am on YouTube, Twitter, and email. I don't always walk around with my phone, but I don't want to be tied to it. I have at times, taken Facebook off of my phone, and I've noticed that, like, anytime I go to pick up my phone, whether it be to set an alarm or to check an email for work, I have noticed almost 100% of the time, before I realize that I'm not doing what I set out to do, I'm on Facebook or some type of social media platform. It's like an instantaneous thing. Like, I didn't even realize that that's where I was going to end up. I literally got on because I needed to check my email, but I ended up on social media. It's so crazy. Gene Walker, it's a reward withdrawal conditioning. Yes! Thank you, I'm not alone. Posh Atheist says that he put some videos on his channel that mine or my son may enjoy. Okay, I'll check them out. Thank you so much. Yeah, she most definitely nailed it. It is a reward withdrawal conditioning. It's that, but there is another layer to it, and it is imbalancing the chemicals in our brains, most literally. So, hey Marvin. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm almost at this point where I'm like, can we even live without our phones at this point? Like, how did we ever exist before? Type of thing, but they're so useful and they're so helpful on so many levels. But then there are the drawbacks. There is a very strong need for there to be balance with regards to all of these things. Yes, it's very much so in reading that article, a couple of years ago, and I was like, whoa, like that's intense. Probably not so much, but most recently, I would say within the past few months, I've been really like, wow. So I've been really making a point to delay me picking up the phone for, things, or really trying to make sure that when I pick up my phone that I'm not allowing myself to, nonchalantly click onto something that isn't necessary, but to actually do what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's hard. It's something that's difficult for me, which is kind of sad, because it really means that I'm really like caught up in this whole addiction of, Facebook and social media and the having the smartphone in my hand. But I also want to mention another thing. I feel like it's so layered, there's so many layers to this, but the disinformation that we receive on some of these platforms, on all of these platforms, there is so much untruthful propaganda type of information, and we don't really know how to decipher what's real and what isn't real at this point. There's such a mishmash of everything that how do we really know what's real and what's not real? And we have Facebook, well, like there will be certain articles on there, and then Facebook will post down below like this isn't true or whatever, but it's like, this is what my mind does. My mind's like, do they just not want me to know the truth? Or are they trying to get me to another area so that I don't believe what's actually going on, or what is going on here? And I feel like it's just really brought us as a human race, and I'm saying that because I feel like that's how profound it is, but it's really taken us as a human race into a whole nother place, like where we see this disinformation coming through, we take it in as if it were real and as if it were true, and we decide whether or not we agree with it, and then it becomes a part of our core belief system. And then guess what's happening next? We're fighting or arguing or upset. And I know I'm not the only one who gets peeved when I see something that is opposing to what my core belief system is. But then we're fighting with one another. So not only has it messed with our chemical balance, but it's taken it to another level to where we have so much disinformation that we've made a part of our core beliefs that now we're fighting with one another, and we're on such opposite spectrums of certain subjects and things, but we don't even know if what we're talking about or what we're fighting for is actually real and true, and we should even be arguing or fighting about these things. And I really feel like that too is something that is done very purposely in order to divide. And then there's another layer to it. It's our conditioning. It's the conditioning of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and what we wear, and where we hang out, and we're getting all of these ideas, and we're so inundated with all of this information and new fashion, and we should be doing this or we should be doing that, or these kinds of things, and it's just so intense. Let's see. Oh, Steve says that there's another Jehovah's Witness pedophile that was locked up this week. Should have gotten life. Let me show that because I think it's not showing up. That it's terrible. I was just talking to a friend of mine today. I had written that post, and then I had, really thought to myself, like, instead of just going to her page on Facebook and writing her a little message about, how much I miss her and love her, I'm going to pick up the phone and actually have a conversation with her. And we were talking about some of that. She used to be married to a witness, and was very, I don't think she was ever like really very regular with the witnesses. Her upbringing was totally different, but we really had a hard conversation about some of this stuff with the molestations and things like that within the organization. And it even went a little further. We were talking about, I'm all squirrel. I just went to a whole nother thing. Sorry guys, but we were talking about how her ex-husband is having some really difficult times with drug abuse, and how his sister, also has some really hard, difficult times with drug abuse, and also with some mental things. And we both said it at the same exact time, and it's so true, but she's like, we both said, and it's not a coincidence. It has everything to do with the organization and how we were brought up, how all of those things that we were taught, how they've affected us, our mental capacity for lots of different things. Let's see. Posh says, when I got my smartphone, I was so annoyed by it. I was so annoyed by it, hit by like every scam. I'm glad I kept it, then learned about JW Cult, etc. See, there are some good things about being connected. So like social media connects us all in a way and divides us all in another way, because now we're content to be on a virtual platform instead of having real nurturing connections with one another, sitting across from one another, having lunch, or picking up the phone and actually calling and seeing how somebody's doing versus, just being enthralled in a virtual world. And then, also with some of that too goes what's actually real and not real with even our own friends when we're throwing things up on Facebook, but we normally always only throw up the things that are the good things, the things.
No, because you remember you already have a knife in here?
I'm just gonna listen.
And I give you a spoon.
What happened? What's going on?
I'm giving them.
Huh?
I'm making some.
You're making something? What are you making?
I made them.
What is it?
Toast.
Okay. So, what was I just saying? I'll rewind. No. I have, Steve says, I've been trolling saying, why hasn't the Jehovah's organization adopted a zero tolerance policy for child sexual abuse? They should respect the authorities and principalities set in place by God. Very true, very true, very true. Let's see, I'm gonna read through some of these comments. I just get to talking sometimes and I'm just like, blah. And I would really like to be able to have a conversation, so. Got 5 years, which will probably turn out to be 2 years. Isn't that sad? I did see something too posted, and it was like about a drug dealer who ended up getting like, I want to say like life in prison or something, and then on the same paper, right below it was about a child molestation case where somebody was getting like, I don't know, a couple of years, and I was like, how is that, what? Like, what world are we living in these days that is what's taking place? And I'm not saying that a drug dealer needs, less time, but I just feel like, the crimes are both bad, but I just feel like anything against a child is the most horrific, like, unacceptable behavior, and should be paid with your life. That's how I feel. Oh, I don't know why your messages are getting held for review. I need to show them. Oops, let me go back. It would be nice if they didn't put pedophiles in the population, but. So where are you trolling on Facebook with all of this? I tried being a troll. I tried being a troll on Facebook in a group, and it like was destroying me. It was horrible. So yesterday when I threw up that, I did like a 15-minute video, and at first it was like, what was it called? Like human programming, like what does that mean or something like that. And hi Shauna. And some of that thought process had come from, a lot of what we experience and see and, take in on social media platforms. I saw a movie, I probably shouldn't even mention it because I'm going to forget what it's called, but it was exactly about that. It was exactly about like social media and how the president won, the presidency through like almost like through Facebook ads, what people see on Facebook and what they take in and things like that. But it's really a serious, and I don't always want to say problem, but it's very serious to be very balanced in the way that we do things. I think that balance is an absolute key when it comes to social media and our smartphones and things like that, and just in life in general, being balanced is key, right? So why wouldn't we be balanced when it comes to things like social media? So anybody have any suggestions for me? I'd really like to hear from you about this, but what do you, when you find yourself grabbing for your phone, more than normal, or getting on Facebook more than normal, or any of the other social media type outlets, does a thought ever cross your mind like, man, this is getting addictive, or man, I'm on here a lot, or does anybody else, have any, is anybody else thinking like that? And if so, what are you doing in order to bring balance to the table with regards to these things? I need some tools in my tool belt for this, because I'm feeling like I'm kind of almost feeling lost in it sometimes. I'm feeling like, this is another thing I wanted to mention too, and I really want to get your input on this, but I feel like, and I wonder if there have been studies done, I should take a look and see, but I feel like now more than ever, I'm so very forgetful. And I want to say that there is a correlation between how forgetful I am sometimes and how much information I'm taking in. And so when I say that, like, we take in so much information at this point. There's so many different things coming at us from different directions when we have this phone in front of our faces. We get pop-ups from an email, we get pop-ups from, just, different places, and so we're constantly here and there. And when we get on Google and we start researching something, and or we even speak, when we're speaking at home and our phone's not even in our hand, it's set down, and we're talking to another human being, and then we go on social media and things are popping up about the things that we've discussed. Hello, Texas. Oh gosh, I feel like I just lost my thought. Oh, forgetful. I feel like a lot of it has to do with how much we're consuming. I think our brain is actually dumping what it deems unimportant without us consciously realizing that our brain is dumping information. What do you think about that? Are you thinking, do you think that's true? Do you think that maybe it's something else? Maybe I just have early onset of Alzheimer's? I don't know. Is anybody else feeling the same way? Does anybody feel like your memory's just shot to freaking hell these days? Posh says, I think my sweet and fun little kitty Timmy helps me be balanced. He is almost a year of age. Aww. Yes, because he needs attention, right? Esther says, I've noticed how when talking to a real person, the next thing, that subject is popping up on my social media. Yes, they most definitely are always listening. Always listening. And a lot of people, like, I've said these things in the past, like, I want to say, like years and years ago, I would say, like these devices we have are paying attention. They're listening. I don't want to say they're learning from us, but they are. Or they're learning how do I say this without sounding completely crazy, but they're collecting information. They know what we're gonna do, buy, say, think before we do. And I've seen things on Google, where Google is, they've admitted it, where they are preemptively, they want to be able to preemptively market to us. They want to know what we want. They want to know. So they're always listening to what's going on. Even those, what is there? There's like a Alexa, I think it was. And I don't know, maybe you've seen it on Facebook or in other places, but there are lawsuits that are starting to take place because those devices listen. I had a friend of mine that was talking to me about her device. She has an Alexa, and I don't have one. I've never had one. I don't know even how they work, or I've never even gotten into looking at any of that. But she shared a story with me telling me that she had, I guess there's a way you can go into it to kind of take a look and see what it's recorded or something like that. And she was saying that she had found, and she goes, I don't even know how I found it, but it was like a hidden file on her Alexa that had recorded every time there was some kind of altercation in the home or anytime she raised her voice. That it was, and that it was only in this secret file recording like the argument type situations that were happening in the home. And I was thinking to myself, that is really, really scary. Why? But for what purpose? Why is that happening? I don't know. But if you've noticed, I think on Facebook there's some things posted about some lawsuits that are happening because Alexa's recording you. Let's see what's going on here. Alyssa says, the government ain't no joke with how they control the population. We willingly give it to them by posting everything online. You are so right. So right. I refrain from saying a lot of the things that go on in here because I don't want people to think I'm crazy, but a lot, like that statement right there is so true that I could stand behind that 100%. Steve says, when I'm typing comments, it gives me word choices that I was going to write, right? So it's scary because I was even watching, I watched this show right now. It's called Emergence. I don't know what network it's on. I have it recorded on my DVD, so when I get time, I watch these shows. But it's kind of scary because it's dealing with AI, and it's dealing with a little girl who doesn't know that she's AI, and she was even taken to the doctor, and they didn't, realize that she was AI. She is made just like a person, and sometimes I wonder if that's really just a show or if it is telling us something more. This is something that I really truly believe in all the research and all the years that I've been researching, and it's been a long time, that we are given truth is put right in our faces and we discount it and call it entertainment. So a lot of times when I view some of these things, they're very real things that are taking place already in life that we just don't even realize. We just write it off as, oh, that's a show, or that was a movie, or whatever it is, but really we're getting bits and pieces of truth. So I'm wondering, and it's really kind of a scary thought to me. This whole AI thing is really troubling for me. I'm having a really hard time wrapping my mind around it. I really don't feel like there's anything, I guess I shouldn't say anything positive that would come from it, but I see it being the demise of humanity itself, because the way that AI is learning is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They had even said, I remember reading an article on Facebook on their computer systems that were communicating with one another and had even started making its own dialect or its own language, which they had to shut it down because it was creating its own language. Okay, so what happens when that really starts to happen all over? AI takes over and us human, it's smarter than us. There are no flaws, I guess, What happens then? What happens? Posh says, I've been studying a lot about sun worship, how religion is for, tyrannical purposes. Jordan Maxwell. I like Jordan Maxwell. And Mike and Kim just did one of those on the origin of baptism. I'm going to have to go and take a look at that. That's a lot of what my research has been as well. I've done a tremendous amount of research on the government, and I hate saying that because it's almost scary to me because I don't want to be suicided by the Clintons. But I've done a tremendous amount of research when it comes to the government and the secrecy of what's really going on. I mean, as much research as I possibly can, because we'll never ever really know all that there is to know. It's a secret. But and also a lot on the esoterics and things like the sun worship and the different planets and things like that, and how it fits into religion, and how religion and government and all of it fit into shaping our world as we know it today. Let's see. Alicia says, I heard of that show. Makes me think of the theory of the Manchurian candidate. Oh, I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize. I think it's what is called sleep agents who walk around like normal people until they get activated, most likely to kill. Yes, I have also heard of that. And I wouldn't be, I was talking to a friend, this is so like way off, but I'm glad that you said that, because I was talking to a friend of mine not too long ago, and my friend was telling me how it was being realized that when this person had started to research certain things about herself, that she started to become very depressed, almost like, and she had said it like, almost like there was something built into her psyche at some point, that if she found out too much, that she was to almost like maybe kill herself or something like that. So I really do think that these things exist. I think that they're real, and I think that we just, a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people are not awake. I haven't watched Smurf Girl in quite a while. I'll have to go and take a look at what she's talking about. But I know that, from my understanding, is that her family is involved with the Masons, and I think that's what it is. I don't quote me, and I'm not trying to say something about anybody that isn't true, but that was my understanding, was that her family lineage is with like the Masons and things like that, and that is where a lot of this information comes from, or a lot of this knowledge comes from. There's a lot of secret, it's a secret society, so there is a lot of there's a lot that she may be privy to as far as informational truths that a lot of other people aren't. But I'm not sure. I don't know her. I don't know anything about, I really don't know a lot, so I'm just saying, as a blanket, when it comes to the Masonic type of things, there is a lot of esoteric hidden truths in that. They do have a lot of information that is not shared with the public. I do have myself at different places in where I, kind of bounce information that I get. I have a family member that I'm not even gonna say, but I do have some people that I know that are very in the Masonic secret societies, and so I do get some information through that as well. And let me just tell you, a lot of the information that I get that comes from that is very, very, very mind-blowing, very mind-blowing. So I think this has been such a great conversation. I've been really wanting to do like more of a candid type of video like this, where I'm kind of talking about a lot more of like what's in here right now and what's going on. There's a lot. Steve says, I've been researching the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Knights Templar connection. It's not just Freemasonry. You're right. You are very right. I have done some research on the Knights Templars and the connection with Jehovah's Witnesses. Let me see. Who is... There's another... Let me take a look. My goodness, what's his name? There's another guy. He reminds me a lot of a Jordan Maxwell type of person. Let me think. Gosh darn it. I cannot remember his name right now, but he has a couple of videos on the connections between, the Freemasons, the Knights Templar, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and some other religious organizations that, came about through those types of, those means as well. And when I remember his name, and probably after I get off of this, I can take a look. I just wish it would just hit my brain. But I can take a look, and then in the comment section, I'll post a video or, the name of the person so that you guys can take a look at what his work is. There is a lot of really good information out there that is not just, that's very, very deep research. I think a lot of people there are some people that will be ready for that type of intel, and there are some people that are just not ready for that yet, and that's why we're here, so that we can talk to you about our experiences as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. No. Posh says, did you see how Watchtower called themselves a cult? Where? I would like to see this. No, I never saw that, but I would really like to see that. My friend that I was talking to today, she was like, I almost want to say that Jehovah's Witnesses are like a cult. And I was like, yes, ding, 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 ding. Yes, that's what it is. And then just kind of like going back to some of the Jehovah's Witness stuff and talking a little bit about that and some of the things that I was talking about yesterday with regards to the Stockholm Syndrome and the PTSD and things like that. Like, I guess I really had never... It hit me so hard yesterday because I guess I had never really thought of it that way. Like, and I've said it a bazillion times, I feel like, we need counseling. We need more in order to be okay. But it really hit me yesterday when I was having a conversation, and it was just a really short conversation, but it just goes to show too, like, how important these kinds of conversations are, because how long have I been an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and how many videos have I done? And it took yesterday one person making a comment that really just went like, oh wow, so it was Alec, and he was talking about the Stockholm Syndrome. But when you think about that kind of stuff, it is so true, because we're brought in to the organization under the guise of love and life, love and life, and that's what reels you in, the family and the love and the life that we'll receive, and how we have this loving God, and all of this. But then soon after, I mean, probably not until you're baptized, but soon after that, it's very different. It's very, very different. And especially those of us, I mean, everybody. I'm not discounting anybody whatsoever. Everybody is affected. Everybody who goes into this organization, even for a short period of time, everybody is affected. But I think even as a young child, in your most formative years, when you're being shown all of these pictures of destruction, and you're being told, that people around you are going to die, that once you've taken that in to your core belief system, it becomes your abuser. It really does. Like, that's abuse. That is mental abuse, to be told that your friends as a young child are going to die, or being shown these photos. And I know that what's up, babe?
The ice cream truck is coming. Alex said he had put money. Can we get some?
Bringing my purse. Let me see if I have any cash in there.
Okay.
I do that. I've noticed that I do that every time, but it was a picture that really affected me as a young person. It was like fire and brimstone coming from the skies, and the people being like trying to shield themselves from it. But that's your abuser right there, And so when we're trying to come out of these systems, we're almost like held captive by these pictures in our minds, the things that have been ingrained into us. And I even remember, like, when I first started doing videos, somebody had commented on one of my videos, and I don't remember which one, but the person commenting saying, but are you sure? What if that organization is telling the truth? What if it's all real? And that's part of what keeps you in place and keeps you locked in. Hold on one second. I'm trying to look to see if I have any dollars for these children. Okay. There.
Okay.
Okay.
How much you want to bring back?
I want you to bring back everything that's left over after you get one ice cream each.
Okay.
How much do I want? How much do I want back? I mean, get one ice cream. All right, I'm gonna jog back over here to this discussion and see. I really, really wish that I had a better computer, because I'd love to be able to bring you on camera with me and have this discussion. I think it's such an important discussion. Let's see.
Amber,
Yes, my love.
can I get ice cream?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we go, where did we go? Posh says, wait, let me see if, I think I'm skipping some stuff. Okay, so did I see the Watchtower call themselves a cult? No, I didn't. I would love to see that. I would really love for you to leave me a link to where that was posted, because I'd love to see it. The symbol across from the cross and crown symbol is a temple. Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. It's on the old Watchtower cover. Yep, I remember that. Oh, XJW Analyzer. Is he the one that said that they had said it was a cult? I don't really watch XJW Analyzer much. He seems like a great person, but some of the other people that he has that do his roundtable with him, I'm not a fan of, so I just kind of stay away from it. But if you can you drop me a link in the comment section of this video so I can take a look at it? Would love to see that. Oh, Robert says he'd love to see that as well. Donald Trump has like a cult following. I think, to be really honest with you, with regards to all the political stuff, like, I don't think that we really even know what anybody's following is like. I think that we're shown what they want us to see, and they twist and turn and do all kinds of crazy shit with the information. And so I don't really even think that we really know what a Hillary following is like, or what a Donald Trump following is like. I think that, we're very, very, thank you, we're very deceived when it comes to all of that stuff. Let's see.
Well, we didn't get one.
What? I'm sorry, hold on one second. Excuse me? What happened? Did Alex you got one for Alex?
Yeah, I got one for Alex, but Alex got it.
Oh, okay, we'll put the extra one in the fridge. Okay.
Let me get yours for later.
So let's see, did I hear the harmonious little song, Volcano God? No, I haven't heard that. Post that for me too, I wanna hear it. Let's see, off topic. I asked Vinny if he was going to do a walking the dog video. He said he can't. It takes 2 hands to walk him. Esther, JW Love is fake, and there is no light in Watchtower religion. It's a system of inversion. Look it up. You're right. I don't need to look it up. I 100% agree with you. Minnie Cooper has a cult following too. I don't know who that is. Drop me a link. The only light they have is Lucifer, the light bearer. I was just reading something about that too. And yes, I absolutely believe that that is true. Jean, it makes you cold. It's a defense mechanism to bot being so extremely vulnerable. Yes, yes, I agree. All of the violence and gore in Watchtower art, it is so bad, isn't it? It's so bad. No blood from the thorns, having his beard ripped out. The nails. Yes. Yes, all such great comments. So, like, before, I guess I didn't put, well, for a very long time, after I, was, after I separated from the organization, um, I still believed for, and not the second time as much, but the first time when I first left the organization when I was, a lot younger, I really still believed very deeply that it was the truth. I that's what I called it. I called it the truth, and it wasn't until later in life that I really realized that there was something very terribly wrong there. And so being so associating it with like the Stockholm syndrome or PTSD wasn't something that I had like really put together yet. I really didn't like, I don't know, I didn't put it together. But the more and more that I begin to heal, the more, how do I even say this right? Like, so, and I was talking about this with my friend earlier too, is like, through doing videos and talking out loud and being able to converse with you and have this time has been so very healing. But in order for you to heal, the wounds have to be open, right? So like so it's like we're going through this process of speaking about it, and we're wanting to help others, and we're wanting to make things put the stories out there so that people aren't affected in the same ways. We're putting those warnings out there, but as we're doing it, it's like we're ripping open these old wounds and we're feeling them all over again. And I was telling her today, because she's like, how are you doing? And I was like, I started kind of to break down and cry. And I was like, I just feel so sad and so empty sometimes, and I just don't know why. And then I started to kind of like realize what time of year it is and how much I've talked about this before. Like, I don't connect with the holidays and things like that, and how much I'd like to, but I don't. And then I started to think about it a little bit, and I was like, I think what I'm feeling is a cognitive dissonance, because it's holiday time, and because I don't connect because of where I came from. It's like an internal fight, like this internal battle that I have with wanting and trying to connect with things that I've never had a connection to because I was never allowed to. And I don't even know why I'm going off on that tangent right now, but just talking about, I guess, like ripping open the old wounds and truly healing. You I guess you've got to get in there and kind of dig and figure out what's causing it, and then change that core belief and change that behavior that surrounds it, so that you truly can heal and become a better or a more whole person. And that's just the way that I say it. So that's how I identify with the healing process. Let's see, Pasha's, I've loaded many videos on, so I'm gonna go and take a look at your channel for sure. I'm very interested. And yes, I have, I remember, and I haven't done it recently, but I remember in the past, when I first started doing a lot of research on the witnesses, coming across some information about all the subliminal messages, and then going back and kind of looking at those things and being like, oh yeah, like this is insane. Like there is so much subliminal, like, so then, yeah, we're brainwashed. Oh yeah, as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you're definitely brainwashed. If they're putting subliminal messages in their article, in their materials, in their pictures, then what's the ultimate goal with that? Really, what is the ultimate goal with that? Why would you need to? If you're bringing truth to an organization, if you're a part of the true organization, like, what is the need for subliminal messages? What's the need? No, it's because it's not true. And there's, I mean, so many layers. So many layers. Let's see. The thing is, Alyssa says, I hope I'm saying that right. Alyssa says, the thing is now that information is easily available. Yes. That they try to deny their posts so strongly, but their younger people know what's up. They come up with the new things to keep everyone interested and entertained. True. And this is where there's kind of like where I'm so thankful for the internet and social media and things like that on one hand, because without all of those there may be a lot more zombie Jehovah's Witnesses. We should create a video game called Zombie Jehovah's Witnesses. Would be very entertaining. But you know, there would be a lot more that are still unawakened, you know, still asleep at the wheel if it weren't for some of these platforms. Let's see. Truth means faithful loyalty. It does not mean facts. I like that. I have a problem with Halloween. It's a glorification of death, demons, and fallen angels. And that's the one holiday I just absolutely love. No. I don't know why. I don't know. I just like this. I like skulls, and maybe I don't know. But I do. But there is a lot that goes on that holiday for sure. There is, and I have done a video in the past about it. You know how. That there really are, you know, spirits roaming around during that time, and it's true. Posh says, I put 547 uploads on my first experience on YouTube under the handle to Smith Jehovah's Witnesses exposing the cult. I'm gonna go and look for sure. And Steve said he'd check out your channel. Let's see. Yeah, see, this is what we need. Yes, if you have channels, don't hesitate to throw them say something about it. Plug yourself. Like, I am not against that whatsoever. I think that the more of us out there that are helping to spread truth and giving our stories, the better off we are. Like I said just a few moments ago, you know, how many videos do I have on my channel? How many times have I sat in front of this camera and talked to you and not connected, you know, certain things? So definitely plug yourselves down here. If you have a channel, let us know. I want to see it, and I'm sure others do too. Let's see. Oh, love it. So you have other stuff. That's great. I love that. That's what I want to do too. I want to have other types of videos too, so that we're not just, you know, always talking about the negative things. Because when you talk about the witnesses, no matter what, no matter how you dice it, it's negative. It's negative. Oh, and for children. Okay. That's what you were saying. So let's see. Travel, art, music videos, and for children. Yes, I would say so too. I wonder, maybe I can find some of that and put some of that. I'm just so not great with editing and all of that stuff. You know who's awesome with editing though? Me and my memory. Cassie D. I absolutely love her videos. If you haven't, I'm sure all of you have seen her videos, but she's funny, she's real, and she actually loves doing all of that editing stuff, so her videos are awesome. I could probably talk to her and she could probably put some stuff up about, you know, do some really great videos where she includes in some of the subliminal stuff. Let's see. That's mostly why they push the agenda where they make apostates bad, because once again, go digging and there's no coming back. Yep, so true. We were talking about that today too, like, you know, how the organization is very big on, and I don't know how it is these days because I am not, you know, a part of it whatsoever, and I really don't dig for like too much information about what's going on now, because as far back as I can leave that shit is I would like to. But I know that, you know, back when I was involved, which is many years ago, it was very hands off of, you know, secular research or, you know, these kinds of things. You know, being on the internet was a big no-no. Being on, you know, YouTube is a big, I don't, was there YouTube back then? I think maybe, I don't know. But social media type things or internet type things, they were very against all of that. And it is for that reason. It's because they have something to hide, 100%, absolutely. I've, like Steve says, ever noticed that the new Jehovah's Witness studio looks like the speakers are speaking from above the earth? They are trying to push that they are divine. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't watched any of their videos myself, but for that purpose, I would probably go and look. Yes, they do a lot of things that are very like that you may not take in like consciously as, you know, XYZ, but they're trying to sell you XYZ subconsciously or unconsciously. That's true. I would not, I mean, just like letting that sink in for a second, like, yeah, they're trying to push that they're divine, that they should be trusted, that they're, you know, God's chosen ones. Does anyone know about the fact that the governing body are actually Satanists and do rituals? I mean, you know, I haven't seen them do it myself, but yes. I don't know exactly. I don't know that I want to go way too far into it, but do some research on that. I always feel like this, like, I never in my videos kind of really say like, this is where I got that from, or I kind of, you know, will tell you that I have done research, but I really want you to hear what I'm saying and to go and do that research yourself. It means so much more when you actually do that research yourself. So, yes, I have most definitely heard about the satanic rituals that take place. That is very much a Masonic kind of thing. They are very, very ritualistic. A lot of there's a lot of ugly stuff that I think a lot of people don't even realize. The sacrificing of children, the consumption of their blood. There's a lot, and the rabbit hole goes deep. Let's see. Grandmaster coincidence. There are no coincidences when it comes to this stuff, Steve. You know. I know that's what you're saying. Let's see. Esther says, yes, Watchtower likes to present itself as having special connection with the divine. It's all fake, though. You're right. It's all fake. I've also kind of wanted to talk about, a little bit. We're going on 79 minutes. Should I continue to talk? I mean, who's really gonna? Are you guys with me? Should we talk? About the governing body and even like, let's take it back further than that. You know, like the apostles who wrote the Bible. They're so. I don't mean the apostles, but the organization itself, and many Christian organizations are very, very against spirit communication, mediumship, divination, those types of things. But when you really think about it and you really be honest, about it, that's what it all is. Where did the Bible come from? It was inspired of God. It was, what does that mean exactly? That, what actually took place was a spirit came and gave information to one of the apostles or one of the Bible writers, and they wrote the Bible. So what does that make that person that was in the middle of the Bible itself and the information? It makes them a medium, right? I mean, if the governing body is sitting on their high freaking horse saying that they get their information from God, what does that make them? What does it make them? If they're in the middle of disseminating the information to the rank and file, they're getting it from God himself, what does that make them? It makes them a medium. But why are you against that if that's what you are? I don't understand. Watchtower even presents themselves as God trusts us, so you must also trust us. That's true. It's backwards. Another inversion. You're so right. Dark Matter 2525. I've never seen that one either. I'm gonna have to go and take a look at that. That's a YouTube channel? Oh yeah, you said down here, binge watch all of Dark Matter's 2525 videos. I'll have to go and binge watch those too. I realize that Robert says, I realize that the JW worldview of life is damaging, not to educate yourself, but to go out and place the magazines. Yep. Someone who helped me find out about the inversion thing was Jonathan Kleck. I love his videos. I'll have to go and there's so many wonderful, see, this is why this is so important, because I would never have known about Dark Matter or Jonathan Kleck or, a lot of these channels without these conversations. So appreciate them. Yes, channeler, something that religion condemns, and it is. It's a complete, that's something that has so bothered me for such a long time, because I'm just like, how can you take this book, and not this book because this isn't the Bible, and I don't even think I have my Bible around here, but how can you take a book and say that it is the divine book, but it's written by people who you condemn? I don't know. It makes cognitive dissonance. You're right, Esther. Doesn't make sense. Posh says, just some dumb guys writing down pure crap and not knowing what they're talking about and getting everything wrong and backwards. I have, I even remember back to being very, and I'm not saying that I don't believe in God. I'm at this point right now where everything is in question. Everything is in question. But I remember at a very young age, I have always been a person who can, who's very spiritual, and from a very, very young age have had interactions with spirit beings, not just bad but good too, and have always been very drawn to spiritual matters, and I don't mean religious matters, I mean spiritual matters. So this has always been something that has, really been hard for me to understand and fathom and get, because we read this book, the Bible, that says, that divination is wrong, and that, I guess I've said it already, so I don't need to say it again. I was probably going another direction and totally just plumb forgot what I was going to say. Let's just be real. Sorry. Let me read this again, because maybe it'll jog my memory. I get so lost in my thoughts sometimes. Does anybody else get lost in their thoughts? I do. Oh yeah, he said, Posh said that it's just some guys that, you know, are writing everything down that they know nothing about, basically, and that they're wrong and backwards. But I remember at a very young age thinking to myself, like, what if everything that I'm being taught right now is backwards? What if they're telling me absolutely everything opposite of what is real? And that's kind of been something that stuck with, and I was very young when I thought this. I was very young. I want to say like 8 years old, like 7 or 8 years old, thinking to myself, like, because things just don't make sense. Sometimes things just don't make sense, and you have to be like, what the fuck? Seriously? I just went crazy with that, huh? Sorry. Let's see. Let me follow this. My nose is itchy. The Bible is given by inspiration of Holy Spirit. The Jehovah's Witness Bible uses communication with the spirit realm. Johannes Grieber wrote a book called Communicating with the Spirit Realm. I'll have to take a look at that. So, and then just recently, I came across something else about the King James Bible that made me go, what? Like, please not that too, you know? I think it was something about the Masons were involved with the writing of that Bible as well, which, don't quote me on that. And I just remember being like taken aback, like, gosh, is there anything pure? Is there anything? But probably not. Elise says, that's the main reason why I could never go back there. I'm barely 25, spent 15 plus years wasting my life there. I knew so much more than I could ever have learned there. If I stayed, everyone's asleep. Unfortunately, you're right. Everyone is asleep. It saddens me when people get turned off to the Bible because of the damage Watchtower has done. You know, I'm going to stop right there for just a second because I want to say something about that. Watchtower has done a lot of damage, and their rendition of the Bible is disgusting. But I don't think it's the sum total of Watchtower that has kind of turned me off about the Bible. I think it is more on a grand scale of misinformation that has turned me off to, and I don't want to even say like I'm turned off to the Bible, because I'm still very like, is it? There's just so much disinformation out there right now that I'm just turned off to disinformation. And until I can decipher, you know, like what's dis and what's, you know, real about the information, it's just hard to like really sit there and be like, this book is holier than thou. Because I think another part of it too is that there are so many additions, so many changes. Where's the original manuscript? What's been changed? How much of it has been changed? I know that there's a word here or a word there, but a word here and a word there, coming from Aramaic to Hebrew to, you know, something else, it changes the meaning of the entire passage. So it's just, I'm not completely turned off to it, but I'm not completely turned on by it either. Does that make sense? I guess I just really like to, are we going to ever know truth? And that's another thought that kind of swirls around this mind. Like, is it an endless search? I'm a truth seeker, hardcore, all the way to the core. I'm a truth seeker. So to me, it doesn't matter. Like, I connect with this statement so hardcore that it, you know, where is it? I read it earlier. I am about truth. That's what I want. There is no religion higher than truth. To me, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate, and that's what I'm in search of what is true, what is real, because I am so sick of all the bullshit. And if I can somehow prove to myself that there is a rendition of the Bible that is accurate and true, I'm with it. Ah, I am Nancy. Bible is the greatest story ever sold. I mean told. Look at the research by Jordan Maxwell. Yeah, I really like him. Astrotheology. Is that what some of this is? I think that this is, what is it? But I posted something about this yesterday, and I was quick to be, told that, but Eric had said something about it. This book, The Secret Doctrine, is written by, I'll just let you see it for yourself, H.P. Blavatsky. And, is quick to be told that she surrounds herself with demons and things like that. Yes, I am very familiar with who she is and what her work is. But how can, at this point in life, or this point in our research or this point in our search for truth, how can we discount anything? If we don't take it in, if we just stay away from it because we think or we're told that something isn't right or it's wrong, then I don't know, how are we growing? How are we learning? So let's see. I really like that statement, Nancy. I really like that statement. The greatest story ever sold. And that's what everything is these days. That's not just these days. That's what everything is. We are built on a program, and everything is sold to us. It is up to us whether or not we take that in and make it a part of our core belief system. Hold on one second.
Can I stay another night?
If your mommy says we can.
Yeah, she said to ask you.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's see. Yes, my love. No, that's not fair. Okay, where
You
did I?
can have it, baby.
No, I don't want it right now, though, my love. My head is killing me. Let's see. Check Aaron Ra on faith and how religion reverses everything, etc. I will. Is that a YouTube channel? Is it a book? Is it an author? Tell me a little bit more about Aaron Ra. I'd like to know. Thank you, Danny. Steve says, I've checked out, be careful, my love. I checked out Maxwell years ago, but I researched the old King James Version. Today, I have strong faith in Jesus Christ. This is something else I wanted to say. All my squirrely thoughts, but I kind of want to get your feedback on this. We're going to stop right there in the comment section for now, but we'll return to it shortly. I mentioned a moment ago that ever since I was a very young girl that I have had very spiritual experiences and actual experiences with beings, with spirits. And I'm gonna tell you a story, and I kind of want to get your input and your take on some of this, but I'm trying to think. Let's see. I was probably about, no screaming, please. Probably about 8 or 9 years old, somewhere around there. But, and maybe I have told this story. I'm not sure, but I'm going to tell it again. I remember very specifically, I had gone to bed one night. My mom would come in, say prayer with us. She would, and my brother and I, each of us separately, we had our own rooms, but she would come in, say prayer, give us love, say goodnight, and leave the room, and she would close the door. So I would be in my room, and it would be totally pitch dark. And I remember this one night falling asleep and waking up, being woken up to a being that was sitting on my chest area, and me not being able to get up because it was sitting on me. And I remember looking over to the door, and always done this, and I think it's something that I've carried with me from a past life. I don't know, but I always do. They're called reality checks. And so it's what I do in order to know whether I'm awake or asleep, whether I'm dreaming and I'm on the astral plane somewhere, or I'm, actually awake. And so I had looked, and underneath the door, the door to the floor, about this much space, and I remember seeing light. And I remember seeing my mom, like, going, back and forth from the hallway, like, into her room. Her room was next to my room. And so I remember thinking, I need to make sure I'm actually awake and not just in a dream, a scary dream. And I remember seeing her going back and forth, and I'm like, okay, like, that's my mom. She's doing laundry. I'm awake. And then, like, wanting to call out to her, but quickly, as I'm thinking to myself, I need to call out to my mother, the being's hands covering my mouth and me not being able to speak at all. And then me thinking right away, and this was always my thought process, is that if I don't see them, they won't kill me. So me closing my eyes, thinking I just don't want to see. Like, I don't want to see. I just need to go back to sleep. And, but I also remember, and I'm sure every single one of you remember this as well, is that I was always taught that in time of need to call upon the name of Jehovah, that the demons shudder at the name, Jehovah's name. And me in my mind, my mom telling me, it doesn't matter if you say it out loud or if you're just thinking it, the demons shudder, they will flee. And so me, in my mind thinking, Jehovah, 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 and this entity not being frightened whatsoever. It's staying until I fell asleep, and I woke up in the morning. I checked with my mom, were you doing laundry last night? And she's like, yeah, why, like, what, and me not really saying much, because me not wanting to be called or thought of as, somebody who's demonized or, was calling demons upon themselves or anything like that. But has anybody ever had that experience where you've been in a situation? It doesn't necessarily have to be, that exact situation, but in a situation where you called upon Jehovah's name and nothing happened? That was my very first clue that Jehovah was not God. I just told you all that story just to tell you that. But I also want to know if anybody else has had the same type of experiences. Okay, so I'm going to pick up here, because I'm going to wait for you guys to comment on that, but I'm going to pick up here on the feed. Posh says, my mom's been a Jehovah's Witness over 40 years. My mom too. You'll see texts I sent her trying to get through to her indoctrinated mind. She shuns me every day. I'm so sorry. That's a horrible feeling, because I'm there too, to a degree. My mom has decided at this point that she'll speak with me minimally, and especially if I say that it's for the boys, then she'll answer the phone. So I've kind of learned how to get around some of that so that I can hear her voice, because it means a lot to me to have my mom in my life. Let's see. Okay, Alyssa says, just by taking the Bible with strong concordance, it gives it a whole new meaning. Not even talking about the books, not included, right? Not included in the Bible. It adds so much in front of that. People don't want to acknowledge true. Esther says, I figure we must use our own intuition, our own conscience, not watchtower conscience. We must determine our own truths. Very, very true. I like that, Esther. I think, and I appreciate all of your comments, but I really appreciate how you have really moved away from the watchtower and their thinking. That's wonderful. Steve says, Watchtower has done so much damage. You're so very right. Yes, we are sovereign beings. I love hearing that. We are sovereign beings. I say don't give away our sovereignty to some religion. I 100% agree. Alyssa is talking about hidden scrolls under the Vatican. I've heard things like that too, and it's really it just really goes to show, like, even how far back all of this really goes, all of the corruption really goes. Because if you think about, and maybe I shouldn't even say the Vatican, but you know, like, they're the root of so much secrecy and so much of how our society is. They have a lot to do with everything. But, you know, like, what's the purpose in hiding from us truth? Like, why are they trying to control? Why? Like, who are we really? Why do they not want us to connect to who we really are? Because that's what's being hidden. Is if they're hiding things about the Bible, and they're hiding things about, you know, how civilization began, who are we? We must be pretty powerful beings that don't want us to connect with who we really are, what our true origins are. If you really stop and think about it, that's really what it is they're taking who we really are and hiding that from us. Let's see. Oh, Nancy, type that one more time. Caesar's Messiah. I'm not sure what that is. But if it's typed wrong, will you retype it so that I know what it is? Because I'd like to look into it. I would love to research it. It does take continuous learning to piece it all together. And that's why I'm saying, it's like, will we ever know? You know, will we ever regain some of that, what has been lost over time, what has been hidden from us? Will we ever, I mean, is the quest for truth, you know, okay, I'm going to say this too, and I don't know, I should probably do shorter videos and then talk about some of these things, you know, in a little bit more depth, and maybe I will, but a while ago, it's been quite a while now, but I had done, and this just goes to speak for, I guess just an experience or a thought that I have that goes along with how far does the rabbit hole go, and the search, the quest for truth, and does it ever end, or will we ever obtain it? But I did DMT a while back, and I hate saying it out loud because I know Dara's gonna be all, see, she's a drug addict. But you know what? This is my life. This is my experience. This is my channel to share my things, and I will not allow anybody to demonize my experiences. My experiences shape who I am today, and I happen to, even though at times I feel sad about things, I happen to love the person that I've become. And so with that, I'm going to say, I did DMT one time. I had wanted to have the spiritual experience. I have been told that, you know, it's such a spiritual experience and this and that, whatever. But that was my experience, was the end of my search. And there was nothing, it was the craziest, most intense experience I've ever had in my life. And to say this, it was when I closed my eyes and my third eye opened, it was more real than this reality right here, which really makes me question a lot too. But what happened was, so you do this DMT, and it like almost simulates the before death experience or something like that, or some kind of a death experience. And your third eye opens, and at first I started to see a lot of, I should do a video on this, a lot of, you know, shapes, like geometric shapes, and very, very vibrant, beautiful colors in these, you know, geometric shapes that were coming through, and you're like kind of like going through this time and space continuum type thing, you know, and then you land like I did. I mean, I don't know if everybody has this experience, but I landed like in this room almost, and I guess it really goes to show too. I'm thinking about this, you know, I'm just going to speak as I'm thinking, but it goes to show how truth seeking is such a part of my core, because it came through in this experience. But all of a sudden I started seeing these signs, and they were like all different kinds of signs, like, and I mean literal signs, like a stop sign, or like you know, like a scrolling neon sign. Oh shoot, hold on, I'm gonna go plug this thing and it's gonna die. Avery, stop. Oh my goodness, you are terrorizing and making messes that are gonna take me a month to clean. Okay, all right, I'm back. Are you guys with me still? I don't know if you could. Okay, now this is awkward because I have to be plugged in, and I don't know. Let me see. Just as I was getting to the good part. My device is about to die because I've been that long-winded. I'm sorry, you guys. Maybe I should just continue this another time. What do you guys think? There's so much. You guys are so amazing in talking and having this conversation. I'm loving this, and so I don't want to end it, but yes, like let's do it another time. Oh man, it's 2:10 a.m. where you are. Okay, all right, you guys, let's do this another time. I want to talk to you about this. It's really interesting, this, you know, what I was about to go into. But let's end this now, and then we'll talk again. We'll talk again soon. I'm not exactly sure when, but thank you so much for tuning in from Texas, from Germany, from wherever you are. It has been an amazing conversation, and I'm so glad we're having it. Until next time, have a good one.